first guest tonight. Denard is a social entrepreneur. He's a counselor, an advocate for social justice. He helps people heal, grow, and live their best lives. He's the founder of Hilltop Counseling. He supports men battling suicidal ideation. Denard is also the board president of RICH, providing free tutoring for children in need. He believes in equal opportunities for all and uses his faith to bring peace and understanding to the world. Let's show some love for our first guest in the house, Mr. Denard. Second of all, on the panel tonight, we have our very own Czar Stockley. He's the founder of Soul City 61, is a certified relationality specialist, offering top-notch counseling and coaching services in relationships, spirituality, and mental health with a psychosocial and psychospiritual approach. Czar guides others towards wholeness. As an author and a holder of multiple certifications, he serves as a supportive companion, helping clients access their inner wisdom and spirit-guided intelligence. Czar is also a loving father, a nature enthusiast, and he finds joy in life's simplest pleasures. Hey, friends, are you tired of pretending to be somebody else? Well, hold on to your seats. You're never going to be the same after tonight. Would you show some love in the house for our very own Czar Stockley as well? Denard and Czar, welcome for the first ever mastermind right here on Circles, man. Glad you guys are here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. I wish you would have told me, Jeff, that this was going to be a dating profile, because Czar's bio was just like, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to know who this person is.
I was thinking that about him.
Yeah. I love it. I found, I found some dating app to drop that content in and see how it spit it out, and that's what they suggested. So that's probably what you're feeling, brother. So
yeah.
Hey, gentlemen, we're going to have a great conversation tonight. I want to give each of you a little time on the floor. I'm reading about you, and many in the room tonight already know you, but I'd love to share a little bit, maybe something that we don't know about you. What inspired you to be who you are at this very moment? Denard, you want to go first, kind of unpack yourself, and then we'll tag right into Czar with the same question. Gentlemen, Denard, go ahead and start us off.
Yeah. First and foremost, I just want to give a shout out to you, Jeff, for holding space for us. And I want to give a shout out to those that are in the space with me too. And this is actually, I want to start off with saying that why I'm here is more or less because of who is here with me, right? And I want to start by saying my journey of answering the hard question of who actually started off with the hard aspect of the fact of what most of us go through. We don't realize that we pivot from who into what and why, and it makes it harder to grasp the who. So let me introduce you to how I describe myself. So I'm also an evaluator. And in evaluation, what I've been taught, because I do equitable evaluations, to do a positionality statement. Like, for example, my sister, she's been diagnosed with lupus. So if I were to actually do evaluation, I'm looking for the cure for lupus, right? So my positionality statement also describes who I am. So I would describe myself to any individual as I am a Black African-American of Haitian descent, 37 years of age, from Fort Pierce, Florida. And in addition to that, I am a husband to my lovely wife, older Fenaud, who's the best part of me. I have two sons. One, the eldest, just celebrated his birthday June 16th in 3 years. His name is Canaan. And then the second celebrated his first birthday, Zion, on May 20th. And then my wife just celebrated her 30th birthday on June 19th. And we celebrated our 50th year anniversary on June 17th. So I got all those right. But what I'm trying to say is that the who is what makes me, right? And so essentially why I'm here is because of who. My wife, my family, those that are supporting me. And Jeff, what I also need to say before we go and chat with Czar about, what I want to say is that the question of who became more complex. For those that don't know, I'm also a pastor, but also a Christian, and a believer in God. It became very big and complex when I started thinking about God. So I had to actually have some fun, and I lessened the question, right? Made it smaller. And I had to ask the question, which we are trying to answer today: who are you, right? And so in answering that question, that brought me to this space to kind of describe to people that we need to show up as our authentic selves. So today I'm introducing you to the authentic Denard, who is my favorite instrument of choice. To share something that most people don't know is the clarinet. I've done the alto clarinet, and also the thing that I want to leave you with is, if you don't know this already, I'm reintroducing this to most people. My favorite fruit is a cucumber. So it's used for multiple things, but ultimately for good. And that's how I want to be known. So Zar, the floor is yours, brother.
Oh man, come on now.
Yeah, go ahead and follow that, brother. Go ahead.
I don't even know how I'm supposed to follow that, Jeff. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. I'm just a regular dude. Like I don't. I'm just a regular dude. I live by this a mantra that I have, or that I say. It's like, I am love for you, and that really sums up all of my life. And when I really dig deep into that, life has brought me to that. My relationship with God has brought me to that. My relationship with others has brought me to that. And that's what I found. My relationship with myself has brought me to that. And that's what I recognize. That's my authenticity. That's my authentic self. The very core essence of my being that I've realized just throughout the days of my life. So, I don't know. I can't follow Denard. That dude is the business.
Stop it.
So here's what I hear already. Anybody else in the house hear it? I hear a servant heart. Now, the servant heart to me is one who always edifies, builds up, and lifts up the other. And gentlemen, I've had an individual one-on-one masterclass with both of you, and you exhibit that now toward one another. Honorable. What do you think, friends that are listening in? I believe characteristically extremely honorable. Now, so my first question for you tonight is, I want to unpack this word, authentic self. Whoever wants to jump in and go first, help us understand from your perspective what this authentic self means. Help us out.
Zara, you want to go?
You I don't know. Maybe okay. I should make you follow me this time.
I shall. Go ahead, brother.
Because Denard gonna give it to us. But I really just believe that the authentic self is the you. Here it is. The you that showed up on this planet before anything ever happened to you. The authentic you. The original you, before it got covered up with all of life, before it got covered up with culture, before it got covered up with trauma, before it got covered up with drama, before it got covered up with any and everything that has sort of suppressed it. It's the part of us that's made in the likeness, the image and likeness. I would say in the image and likeness of God. It's the part of us that's just that's most like God. And it's not even a matter of that authentic self being a matter of right and wrong. It's that part of you that reflects, I would say, both that divine and that human, that spirit and that body, and all that we are made up as individuals. It's really going back to the origin of who we really are, the origin and nature of our being. In my sense of authenticity, I generally think about the idea of being authentic, not even necessarily becoming authentic, but really going back to being. It's a return to our most purest self before life got to us.
Yeah. So I want to extract that a little bit before you jump in, Denard. Powerful, friends. Did you just catch that? You shocked me when you said that, and I wrote it down. I want to almost use this word, Zar. Who was I before I discovered who I am?
Ooh.
Who was I? Who was I before somebody made me? Right?
Yes.
Because what you just showed me and shared with me is, okay, Jeff, you better look yourself in the mirror, because at 58, you might not be who you think you are.
Come on, sir.
In fact, you might be living a lie that was told to you by other people, and you carried this persona out, so you might not even be who you think you are. I love it. Isn't that thought-provoking already, friends that are in the house?
Absolutely.
Denard, how do you define that authentic self, brother?
I want to. I can't distill much more from what Czar said. I'm in full agreement. But one thing I'm actually I speak in metaphor. So if you have a hard time like my wife following me, I'm sorry. Just try to go course. But
your
what
wife and my wife would get along, brother.
fair enough, fair enough. But I love everything Czar said. And one thing I will say, I had to learn what something is by learning what it's not. Right.
Yes.
For example, I remember candidly when I would try to figure out, when I was dating or going into the courtship phase with my wife, and anybody know older, she loves vanilla, plain Jane vanilla. That's all she likes. And I'm like, for the life of me, I'm like, girl, you don't like anything else? But what I had to start asking her really was, what do you not like? Right. And that's how I identified that vanilla was her favorite. So what I'm trying to get to is your authentic self. And I want to be very clear with this as well, is it's not like what fake is, right? Fake takes energy, right? It takes energy trying to do that. That's why we're here talking about also the imposter syndrome, which is a common experience for everyone. And actually, statistically, it affects over 70% of people, right? So if you're thinking that I'm not like everyone, the probability is you are, right? And then the other thing I want to say is what the authentic self is not is like if you're stepping into a presentation or you're about to share your story and you're trying to prepare to be you, that's not your authentic self, right? Because you're second guessing what Czar just said, what you were created to be. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. So well said. It may be, I've always said this, gentlemen, that if you're, and I think this is a part of our evolutionary growth process. I've always said that if you are laying on the side of the road, you had an accident and the paramedic shows up and the paramedic takes one look at you and goes, hold on, don't die. I got to look in the manual to figure out what to do. Right. So so this imposter syndrome, what you just said, Denard, which really hit me, is that part of us that tries to be is really not the authentic self. I think that's the mechanism that is just kind of getting out of the way so that authentic us can come out. It made me think of riding mountain bike. I was sharing this story the other day. I ride mountain bike for a passion, and the other day I was coming off the trail, so I was doing a little bit of road, and I wasn't even really paying attention to what was up in front of me. I had my head down, listening to my earphones, and all of a sudden something in me said swerve, and I swerved left just in time to miss a car. So I didn't need a book to teach me how to swerve. I had to listen to my authentic self. The authentic self is screaming at me, there's a car in front of you, there's a car in front of you, change. Do I hear you right, gentlemen? Is that what we're talking about, tapping into that part of us?
You really tapping into it, that intuitive part of you, that intuitive being that already knows what our mind is trying to figure out.
Yeah. Oh, say that. So I appreciate the hands are already in there. Hang on, Amy, Heidi, I see you, but hang on just a second. You just said something, Czar. So I'm not my mind.
Oh no, no, and I think that's a lot of. Oh goodness, can you imagine if we were our mind? How many things come to our mind, and how many things even seem to hijack, in a sense, to hijack our mind? But it's that space. I say a lot of times, like our soul knows a song that our lips have never sung, and it's like our soul knows how to heal itself. Our heart knows how to heal itself. It's our mind that gets in the way. It's our mind and sometimes the personalities that we've put on in order to deal with the world that gets in the way. Because a lot of people also think that they're their personality. We get the word personality from the word persona, which means mask. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fake. It just means that our mask is how we are. Our persona, our personality is how we are. And sometimes our mind even informs how we are, how we show up in the world. But who we are, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I love it. We've got hands in the air already. This is really out of unorthodox for me because I usually wait for questions and comments towards the end, but I feel the energy and the vibe in the room. We're going to take a couple of minutes to pause, gentlemen. You good with that? Let's hear from Amy and Heidi and Carrie. Amy, you're on first with Denard and Czar. Go ahead, unmute yourself. Share what's on your heart. Amy, you in the house with us? I see your hand. Go ahead. You're live. Okay. Yep. Maybe the hand was there. Heidi, I see you. Heidi, you're on next live. Go ahead. I see your hand.
Well, I actually thank you guys for letting me chime in here. I saw the title of this group, and I think that when you have a trauma in your life and it drastically changes what you think of yourself and what you feel you're able to do, how do you step out of that? Kind of like stepping out of a pair of shorts. How do you step out of that? And after hearing what other people say that you're able to do, how do you get the courage to even think about, who I am authentically now that this huge change has occurred?
Yeah. Beautifully said.
I want to tackle that, Jeff.
Yeah,
to some extent.
Go for it. Thank you, Heidi. Go for it, Denard.
And just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. Like, after experiencing the life that we heard Zar talk about, and trauma, and then let's be honest, let's add some of the life challenges. It may be grief, it may be separation, it may be dealing with ambiguous loss, right? These things are at the foundation of dealing with those type of losses, cause us to question everything about ourselves, right? And so then there's this shift in trying to figure out, who am I? We lose a sense of innocence. But one thing I want to distill in, because you started off with the response. Now you hear a lot of people just now talking about it, but there's a trauma response that I believe that actually aligns directly with the difficulty to find ourselves, because we're battling imposter syndrome, and it's the fawning aspect, right? Where we're actually seeking to people please. And let me just share briefly my experience and how stepping out the shorts was actually for me. So at the age of 28, I decided that I heard from a song from Lauryn Hill that who's my favorite R&B artist. She said, basically, people lie to God every day, so they'll lie to you too. But here's what I need to tell you. Is that I got focused on the lies that people told me, and I forgot the lies I was telling myself, the lies that I bought into. And so in many people know my worldview. So then I turned to Galatians 1 verse 10, where Paul is actually talking to a group of people, and they're questioning his allegiance, right? And he says to them, and I'll say it as if I was talking as Paul. He says, I am do now persuaded, fully convinced. If I were here to seek to please men, then I would not be a follower of Christ. So he essentially he draws a line in the sand, right? And he gives the opportunity for choice. And so what I am saying is that we need to also understand what we're responding to. And we also have to move beyond our expectations of our own self and the opinions of others. So the same way you talk about stepping out the shorts, the first thing you have to do, you have to grab the shorts by the hem, right? And you might have to roll it up sometimes. And then you have to take one leg out first, right? And it's the same thing we have to do. I have to grab hold of the lies that I've been telling myself, and the ones that I've accepted about myself, right? And while I'm trying to grab hold of the truth, I need to understand where my truth actually comes from. And for me, my worldview, my framework, my truth comes from what God tells me. He tells me in John 14, verse 12, he says, Denard, although you doubt yourself, I believe you. He says, verily, verily, believe it, truly, truly, that the works I do, you will do also, but greater than these you shall do. So my God says that even when I doubt myself, I believe in you. So the way I step out is I step into what God believes in me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it so does, Denard. I appreciate you sharing it. What it does is it elaborates a little bit on my previous guest. Thank you for sharing, by the way. I'll get to some more questions in just a moment. My last guest, Echo, who's in her 30s, going through diagnosed with stage 2 cancer just recently. Immediately, she's always a positive person, Denard, always believes in the best, always speaks life over herself consistently. Now she's got a report. Now, not just a report, but she's got a lump. She finds a lump. Now, immediately, the mind, not the authentic self, because the authentic self does not have cancer. The authentic self is not broken. But the mind says, oh my God, I've got a lump. And it presents a picture back to me and to us that goes, oh my God, here's what somebody with cancer does. Here's how they think. Here's how they feel. Here's how they act. And here's how they die. So the mind creates the program, the script that our emotions get behind, and we're living this journey out before we even take one step in it, right? Wow. So that's the shorts, right? That whole story is the shorts that our friend was just sharing. So Echo says, I'm not just going to deal with these shorts. I'm pulling the freaking shorts off. Here's who I am. I'm a survivor. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm an overcomer. And she begins to rewrite the script that her brain, a natural humanistic type of mechanism, is trying to tell her. Right? So she's rewriting. She's changing the shorts right in midstream, brother.
Wow.
Right? So she's rewriting it. Is that? And I hear you say that, Denard. Zar, your thoughts about that too, brother?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. We have to realize and really figure out, and Denard said it good, where are we pulling our truth from? Not what's true, what we're experiencing as true, but what are we pulling our truth from? And you just said something, Jeff, that was really interesting. He's like, the authentic self is not broken. It's often just covered up. Our authentic self is not even really, it's not even that it's not there anymore. It's just that we don't generally we're out of touch with it. And life begins to scream louder oftentimes than what that authentic self says. But I really think that we have to look at where it is that we pull our ultimate truth from. And that's right on point. That's right on point with it.
Yeah. Well said. Where do we pull our truth? Denard, your thoughts?
Oh, I need to process what you all just said. Honestly, I think we just should take a moment to sit in this truth that we just received. And I'm asking myself right now, where am I pulling my shorts, and where am I pulling my truth at? So I don't actually have anything to add. I just got to sit in this truth right now.
And hang on, Carrie. I see you, and Heidi, I see you, but brothers, this is really strong in my heart. Now sit with me for this just a second. I don't need to. I'm not intended to offend at all. I've been a person of faith. My mother was a person of faith. My mother, I could take hours to explain her experiences with the supernatural and the unexplainable. I grew up in it, folks. I understand it. But until I challenged what I thought I believed, what I believed was only in my head.
Yeah.
So when I finally let go of everything that everybody taught me that I should believe, and even those things that I thought that I did believe, see, if truth is predicated on your belief in it, it ain't true.
Come on.
If truth does not stand on its own, you have no merit or right or faith to put your faith and trust in anything that is existence on your belief in it. It is regardless, period. Right? And I think that's what I hear in you, Denard. That's what I hear in you, Zar. That's what I heard in my friend Echo. My truth is predicated on not me, thank God, not my mind, thank God, not even my ability to deny it, reject it, or accept it. Is simply, she said, I sat with it. I sat with the fear of dying. I just sat with it. And then I made the decision after sitting with it, nope, that ain't for me. And she moves freaking on. We have that power, right, gentlemen? We have that power, yes?
We do. We absolutely do. When we tap into that, and then we'll call it this, that authentic power that we came here with. See, this is the thing, and this is the good news of it. It's not something that we have to go and develop. It's not something we have to go and create. It's already there. We already have this. This is already the way we're made, the way we're designed, the way we were even created to function.
I love that. I love that. And you know what you bring to there was a thing, because the question still remains, like, how do I practically live out this truth, right? And someone said it this way. I hope I remember exactly what they said. They said, and what I'm trying to get to, in the church we talk about testifying, but in the world you see, like, commonly it's used as storytelling, right? So they said that there's something inextricably vulnerable and gritty about telling your own story. I need you to catch what I'm saying right now. And it says, and she said it requires a lot of courage than telling someone else's, and it involves hard truth and authenticity. So where I'm trying to go with this is simply embracing your own unique identity. See, that's why when we're talking about imposter syndrome, authentic self, and actually listen, the most freeing and the easiest thing we can do is to be who we were created to be. And I recall, and I got to share this real quick. One of my mentees called me, and she was having troubles. I hadn't heard from her in 3 years. She started matriculating through her master's. She's actually the first HBCU influencer, historically Black college, university influencer. So she's well off, but she's struggling because someone has now copied her template on how to content create, and they're not giving credit. You got to catch what we're saying, because we're talking about that authentic power. And you said that it leaves an indelible impression upon our hearts because it is us, right? And so when I was hearing her share her story, I said, listen, what I've come to learn, even when we talk about intellectual property, I said, I've come to learn the reality that people can steal my template, they can steal my content, they can steal even my words, but they cannot steal me.
Yes.
Cannot steal. And that's what I need someone to hear right now. The best you is you.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing better than that. I'm a stop.
Yeah. That, you know what, and hearing that, because I hear people say a lot of times I've been through trauma. There's trauma that has happened. What we have to understand is that trauma is there. That's what's covering us up. Trauma is not. Here's the thing. Trauma is not what has happened to you. It's what's happening in you because of what happened to you.
Well
I
right?
used to
If that's the case, it's not what happened to you. Things happen to us all the time. It's what has been happening in you, right? Because of what happened to you. In other words, what has been conditioned in you that has drawn you away from, or that has conditioned you away from your most authentic self and your authentic power. So how do we get back to it? We recondition ourselves based off of truth, not just what has happened.
Amen.
We recondition ourselves back to that most authentic self. When you go to any therapy office, most times, anybody ever know, and I say this all the time in groups, you ever notice that the therapists take you back to childhood? Sometimes they take you back to the breach, but they don't tell you that who you are is who you were before that breach happened. So they'll take you to the problem, but they won't take you to the real answer. They'll take you to the awareness of where it went wrong, but they won't take you to returning to who you were before that thing started conditioning you away from your authentic self.
Yeah.
Before we take off, I just wanted to tell you guys, I feel in my life, and I won't tell you how old I am because it might frighten you.
26.
Yeah, okay.
I agree.
That's nice. No, I've had 2 shunt malfunctions. I had my first one when I was 21, and the second one when I was 43. The next one is due when I'm 65. And I was told that the next one would probably take all the vision I have, which isn't much. And I look at everything that you guys were saying. It's not about what's happened to you, because you can't go back in time and change it. All you can do is stand in the moment and help yourself be strong enough for the future. The biggest thing in trauma, and the cheese has just about slid off my cracker, okay? People call me tenacious.
Oh, I've got that too.
And somebody once said, if they say that, bad things make people stronger, I should be able to bench press a Buick. It's really about how I look at today. And not trying to wish that I had more vision, not trying to put myself down because of the vision I've lost, but to be able to say, I am still worth getting out of bed and putting my clothes on, whether they're inside out or not,
Come on, word.
and just doing it. Because, you know, look at it. We're all gonna go from grapes to raisins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you want to get to that process?
Mhm.
How do you want to see yourself today where you are to go through that process? Because there's 100 ways to do it.
Yeah.
But everybody's got a different way. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to probably need Braille in about 10 years. I'm not waiting. I'm learning today. I have a white cane that is almost worn out.
Mm-hmm.
I really used to, how do I put this? I really used to care about what other people thought of me and how they judged me. But here's the truth. The only person that should be judging me is me. Because in the end, we are only judged by one thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing so much, Heidi. Thank you. You know, one of the things when we talk, gentlemen, about trauma, trauma is a label. Now, be careful, friends. Janice, I see your hand. I want to make sure those of you that are in the room tonight, we flow a little bit different in this class, just to kind of give everybody heads up. When flow happens, flow is, I believe, divine, meaning there's a conversation that's supposed to happen. There's a thread, there's an energy, there's a flow. So we want to try to honor that flow as much as possible, and then pause and then take comments and then questions and feedback and etc. And that in itself has its own flow. So just stay with me, okay? We appreciate everyone. I love the conversation, Heidi. Thank you. What it made me think of, gentlemen, I want your comments on this, your feedback, is that therapy is a label. Now, if you did not have the label, you don't have a diagnosis. And if you don't have a diagnosis, you don't have a description, you don't have let me put it this way. If you don't have a diagnosis, you don't have a reaction. It just simply is. Oh, wow. I see out of one eye 100%. I see out of the left eye 50%. Oh, wow, cool. But as soon as I put a label on you and call you something, then your not innate, but your earthly self has to live up to that. So now I act this way, I feel this way, I join this group that helps me understand who I am, and I get conferred by and validated by that, yep, this is who I am. What, friends, would you be, who would you be if you frickin' didn't have a label, and all due respect to circles and every support group out there, but didn't have a support group to join to tell you who you are? Come on, friends. Come on, brothers, help me out of this. Help me with this. What?
You done dug your way into that, and you in there by yourself, Jeff. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, you're gonna leave me on this
That
by myself?
no, but
Come
sir, that is right on the
that's
money. That is right on the money, and that's a part of this conditioning that I'm talking about. There's so many aspects of conditioning that we've had that has drawn us away from that authentic self. Who would you be if these violations, these diagnoses, and all these other little things didn't even exist? Who would you be beyond that? You're right on point with that. And even when Heidi was talking, who asked that question? See, the authentic self is always present and always trying to speak and always trying to surface. But a lot of times it's our life, it's our diagnosis, it's our situation, it's our circumstance, it's all of these other things, it's all these labels that tells us or tells that authentic self to shut up. Or tell it you need to be identified this kind of way. Or you need to fit in this way. See, the authentic self ultimately knows that it don't fit anywhere, but it belongs everywhere.
That's good.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, Vicky, that was tasty. That's good.
Yeah, that authentic self, it reminds me, gentlemen, you've used scripture a lot. I remember if you just open the book to the beginning, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth, now watch this, the earth, y'all spurred that preacher in me. I'm going to blame you both for this now. Just hang
Bring
on
it
to your
out, brother.
seats. Come
Bring
on
that
now.
authentic self.
Because in the beginning,
Let me go
God
get on the
created-
organ.
Yeah, right. Come on, don't do that, brother. You start playing that Hammond, and I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. So anyway, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And watch this: the earth was without. It was without. How can you be without? What do you mean? How can you be without? That's that authentic self, gentlemen, that you just showed me in our conversation tonight. God, that's authentic self without what? What's the next word? It was without form. So as soon as you can call me something, you've limited my authentic self. You've covered up my authentic self. You've lied to my authentic self because you've just told me who you think I am. And if you take it all the way back in the beginning, if the Bible is true, just hear me out, gentlemen. But the naming convention started back in the beginning with, what do you call it? Oh, that's a tree. Well, God bless it. It became a tree to you, to me. But what if it was a star and we all along believed it was a tree? That's why I think we're talking about returning to this authentic self, gentlemen. Yes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you want to take it there, see, Jeff, since you took it there, I was trying to let y'all do the churchy thing. But if you want to take it there, repent, do again, go back. Pent is where we get the word penthouse. Return to your, you would say, highest self, to that pent self, or to your authentic self. That's what this has always been about. That's what our life is about. That's even what the struggle is. This is why our soul grieves. This is why it grieves. It grieves because it knows that it's been drawn away. This is why breakup hurts us. This is why it's drawn away from its what would seem to its highest self. It's drawn away from it. Now again, it's not gone. It's still there. Life is happening. But we've been so conditioned by life, or we've been, as you say, Jeff, we've been formed.
Yeah.
And now we got to get back to that space.
Yeah. And whenever you support the form, it'll take every bit of life, energy, breath. It's exhausting to hold this up. It takes a lot
to sustain it. Yes.
Why do you believe that there's so much talk right now that old hymn, I surrender all? Now, before you take that and make it religious, I'm not even talking, because if I have to surrender, somebody help me. If I have to surrender and there's something more on the other side of my surrender, now I'm falling into just another form.
Yes.
I'm not falling into form. You got to understand that the form we're talking about tonight, friends, the authenticity we're talking about tonight is not form. It's formless. It's identityless.
This title should have been different. I'm telling you, man. You guys are preaching to my soul.
I don't know who just chimed in, but amen. We didn't want to. I wasn't turning this into church, folks. But if you ever have a church background,
thank you.
This would be that. This would be that. Okay, all right. We've got to stay on track here. You all are so good. Thank you for being here tonight. Can we show up some love for our guests tonight?
Yeah.
And Janice, you have been so patient. I've seen your hand, and thank you so much. We're going to give an opportunity. I want to continue the conversation afterward, and then we'll open up for some questions in the end. Janice, I'm going to take a breath, so you talk for me. Will you please?
Yeah, I don't think I can outdo you, Jeff. So.
Oh, no. There's no outdoing that.
There's no outdoing that at all, man. There's no outdoing that, baby. But I just have to comment on something. I truly believe, and I've lived this, that when my authentic self and my soul aligned, and it aligns, I am able to walk in the image that the Creator intended me to be in the first place.
Yes.
So
Hallelujah.
that is, and I have learned and heard that in many times in Denard's room and Czar's room, and it is what I try to do in my life every day, and it makes my life that much easier.
Yeah.
That is all.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Let me speak on that real quick. Janice, my Apple apostle. I got to say something real quick. And also, I think we also need to change the narrative that we've telling ourselves. Like, and Janice, you know, I love you, but I'm actually going to put you on the spot real quick. And I think this is important. I at the age of 28, when I started to question everything, as Jeff started to say, I had a failed relationship, and I started to try to figure out, who am I outside of this relationship? And I remember there was a time where my chemistry teacher, who's married to David Eggleston, who is a premier Black photographer, and I didn't know he was also a preacher at the time. I'm going to take my 28-year photo shoot at his studio, and he said something to me, Janice, that I want to say to you in this moment. He's like, son, what are you planning on doing? I said, at this time I was planning to do law school. I said, I'm gonna try to go to law school. He said, son, I need you to stand up and do something for me, right? And he says, try to shake my hand. He reached out his hands, and I reached out mine, and we clasped. And he said, see, son, try exist in word but not in concept. So Janice, want to tell you is that you're not trying, and we've grappled with this, but we've accepted it through other brands, and that's why we're showing up today. And I want you to identify your brand today, because we've accepted Nike's motto, just do it, right? But we're not accepting what Heidi just said. You are doing it, right? And so we need to move past the expectations of others, including ourselves. We need to push back against the cultural norms. We need to identify that sphere of influence, that agency, that power that Zar was talking about, and recognize you are doing it.
You're already doing
it. I'm done. Yeah. I got it.
I love it. I love it. Sit in it for a second. Selah, right, Zar? Sit in it. Yeah. You know what amazes me, gentlemen? All of you that are listening, what amazes me, come on. I know we got church folk in the house. I love you. God bless you. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. We can do it all. We roll and dance. We get the hammer on. We can just do it with a shout. I've been in the service till we shout to the morning. We shout, but I got home and I'm still freaking broke. I'm still pissed off at my wife. I'm still fighting. Trying to struggle. I'm still trying to. And I realized that I was living this double life. And this life over here had me believing that if I just did more of it, my life would be okay. Then I started to check into that and wondered if I was caught up in something that I had made out to be something that it was never intended to be in the first place. And I had to start, come on, somebody help me. I'm not taking the spotlight from you, brothers, but I had to start questioning what I thought was authentic and not afraid to go, okay, all right, I'm going to stand in my field until you prove to me, because you can't conquer what you won't confront, and you won't confront what you hold sacred. And sacred is what we're talking about tonight, brothers. Yes, we're talking about
Jeff, get that off my soul. Place. Come on, Jeff, you hitting my soul with that deep inside. Surrender, finding yourself.
Amen. Thank you for that, friends. I appreciate you, because you know what? The universe ain't afraid of you. You can't stand up and scare the universe. You can't stand up in the universe and say, I don't believe in you, because it don't work. It doesn't matter. So what we're understanding tonight, help me, gentlemen, bring us back. What we're understanding is this authenticity is without form. It has no description. And the more we try to describe it, the more we try to label it, the more we try to say it is something. As soon as you say it is something, it is no longer what it used to be. It is what you've called it and said that it's going to be. Right.
Yeah. And it's gonna get you off track and have you chasing things that's not really your true self. That's not even really. It has you chasing things. There's a song called "Stupid Deep." I don't know if any of you ever heard it, but it has become one of my favorite songs. But it says, "What if who I hope to be was always me?"
That's good.
Was always me, but life has me chasing everything else: the big name, the status, the money, the cars, the house, whatever. And we've lost ourselves in things because who we hoped to be, and then you feel the grief of it. You good, the bank account fat, but we've seen many celebrities with fat bank accounts take their life.
Yeah, come on, say that.
Yeah, yeah. Because who they really hoped to be was not a millionaire. Who they hoped to be was always them. But I had to become all of these other things to get all of these things. And I'm done. I'm done.
No. You just said it. I had to become all these other things before I realized that was not me. I want to talk.
Please
about
say that again, Jeff. Please say that
again.
Yeah.
I tried to be all these other things before I realized that's not who I was. Friend, I'm telling you, you're going to have to try to be a doctor before you realize you ain't no doctor. You're going to have to try to be a popsicle salesman before you realize you're no popsicle salesman. You're going to have to try to be a nurse because it touches that part of you that compassionately cares for humans until you realize that's not you either. You're going to have to walk your journey out being multiple people to multiple things to all men before you identify just that one thing. And if you don't accomplish that one thing that you were called and created to do, you will die with regret. And as a chaplain, as a hospice chaplain, I've sat with people and held their hands telling me their life story. Jeff, I always knew I was supposed to be this, but I never had the courage to do it. And now I don't have not only the courage, but I don't have the life to do it either. If you're in this room, friend, you're here for a purpose, and don't you delay. Don't you delay doing.
Amen.
There's a hand in the air. I love my amen crowd. Denard, you and sorry, you're phenomenal. My brother Charles was dropping some stuff in the chat. I wanted to bring him on for just a second. Charles, are you still with us, brother? You had your hand, and I see hands going up. So we're going to kind of take a breather. We're going to let some hands in the room, but I did want to call on my brother Charles. I saw your hand. Brother, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just, I was thinking as you guys were speaking, I was thinking about my life, and I was thinking about, when I was happy, when I was basically, living in the light of Jesus. And, the word talks about, Jesus says that, when you're walking in darkness, you're confused. You're basically lost, but, when you walk in the light, when you walk in Jesus' light, you have to keep that light and walk in that light. And I was just thinking, basically like, I was a football coach. I was happy. I was a high school football coach. I was happy. I wasn't making that much money, but I was happy. I was living, my authentic self, my best life. My dad was a football coach. He was also an educator. My mom was an educator. My grandmother was an educator. So that's the type of life that, I grew into, service, and caring and being compassionate for others. But when I started to like walk in darkness, is when I started to chase money. I started to chase those 6-figure jobs, and things of that nature. And my life hasn't been, it hasn't been fulfilling. It hasn't been the life that I wanted. It's living the lie, living someone else's life to try to, to just make it and, try to do the things that, I wasn't born to do, the things that
Hey,
I don't have.
Hang on, Charles. Hang on, brother, just a second. Somebody's got a mic on that's really loud. Can you please mute yourself? I'm not sure who it is, but please mute yourself. Thank you. Out of respect for those that are speaking, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Charles. Thank you. Sorry about that.
So I wasn't living the fulfilled life. I wasn't living the life that God had, that he had for me. And I was just thinking like, man, I'm truly not living like right now. I'm a truck driver, chasing, money, and it's not fulfilling. It's not what I want to do. And I think about it, like, man, I need to get back to coaching football. I need to get back to helping kids, and service and things of that nature that help people, because that's what Jesus wants us to do. So I mean, the conversation, man, you guys' conversation was really enlightening tonight.
Even more than that, though, Charles, that's what you want to do. That you that's connected to the same source Jesus was connected to.
Right.
See, that's what you want to do. Your authentic you wants to do that. It's not separate from the source.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's so much I want to say, but And Zara and I, we talked about this, and I know we're running out of time, but I do need to hold space for you, brother. I need to talk to you right now. As a black male in a world where, oh man, I'm about to get emotional. But let me, I really need to speak to you because like Corinthians 2 verse 9 says, eyes have not seen nor ears have heard what God has purposed in the heart of man. Purpose in the heart of man. It's already there, right? And if you've listened to Michael Jr., the comedian, the black comedian, he talks about there was a reporter that asked him, what is the most unanswered question in the world, right? And he said, like, I have the answer for myself, but most people want to know, who am I? And he says a reframe for it is, who do you want to serve? Right. And when you talked about the giving is living and what you're describing, when you're living out your life on the football field, I can see already your eyes just seeing the hope that you're instilling in the kids, but also the hope that you're instilling in you because you're living out vicariously. And I want you to know right now, I'm going to take some of that burden off you, brother. I want you to know right now that the time to make that choice is still there. The choices that you've made, they're a combination of all the things that you have done throughout time, but you can still pivot, brother. You can still pivot, right? And so I just really want you to understand that because you articulated it, it shows that the desire is there. And above anything, I need you to understand that you don't have to accept all the other pressures that's coming your way, because once you actually step into the lane that you are called to step into, those pressures, you're going to be able to take them off because you're living not just your best life, you're living the best you. And I really need you to hear this right now, because listen, I got to a point in my life where I got so consumed by pleasing people, or searching, and the things I was possessing actually possessed me. And I really need you to understand that you come to an awareness at the point of your life that when you do pivot, you're not just even going to pivot back to what you did that was giving you life. You're going to pivot to a place where you're going to continue to actually be a conductor of giving life.
Come on, Denard.
So I just want to talk to you, brother, and say that because I saw your hand a couple of times, and know that not only did we see your hand, God saw your hand, Jeff saw your hand, other people saw your hand. And because you spoke up today, you just changed the trajectory of your life. Yeah. Now, all I'm going to ask you is to take off those shorts and start walking in that direction.
You put into motion, Denard, you said it so powerfully. You put into motion what you truly want when you step out of what you don't want. You make that decision. You make it, brother. You cut it. I remember listening to a speaker. I think her name is Lisa, first name. I can't remember last name, but she was broke, busted, disgusted, wrapping her baby in a towel, no diapers, no nothing, living on Skid Row. And she woke up one morning, put her hand on her child and said, "You will never be broke or broken again from this day forward." When you can discover the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. And you magically, brother, and supernaturally align yourself with the universe by going, enough is enough. I don't care if I live or die, but the next few seconds I have, I'm going to do what makes me happy. And when you set your intention like that, everything, God, the universe, the entire fabric of everything that exists gets behind you. And now you're standing in line at Starbucks and you don't know why your drink is being delayed, because there's a person in a parking lot that's supposed to walk in, stand behind you. You're supposed to strike up a conversation and share your heart about coaching, and they're going to be your connection. You are only 6 degrees separated from the very person and the very thing that you desire to be. And when you set your intentions like that, you show up in places where the universe can go, I got you, Charles. I got you, Heidi. I got you, Denard. I got you, Jeff. I got you, Lisa. And that works on your behalf. Come on, show some love in the house tonight. You guys are phenomenal. I absolutely love it. Gentlemen, I want to pause. There's so many hands in the air. I'm keeping the room open. I don't know, friends, that we only had slotted an hour, but if you've got to go, I understand. But I'm going to open it up. Now, we need to be respectful and honorable and kind of protocol when we open so that we can get everybody's question and comment in. So let's take a minute or so, share your thoughts, your heart, your idea. I want you to leave like you feel like you got a chance to express. Let's do everything indecently in order, as we used to say in the church, and it'll make it well for all of us. I did want to call on, I see a bunch of hands, but I'm going to just call randomly. Nikki, I see your hand. Nikki, go ahead. Unmute yourself, share your thoughts, comments, questions. You're live right here on the Circles. Go for it.
Okay, so I just want to ask, the only person in this room that may know my voice is Denard. Do you know who I am?
Oh, Cameo.
Yes.
You win the prize.
Welcome.
Okay, so here's what happened. Because this is a different profile and a different name. Okay, this is how God works. I was meant to be in this group here tonight. I was in your group earlier, and I was different. So I was right after the last one. I went to the open mic, and I shared. I write a lot of poetry, but at the moment, I wasn't prepared. I was just going in there to listen, and so they went to say, okay, you can share. You know, no one was sharing, so I said I'll share a letter I wrote to my ex, and I actually wrote it, sent it, and never looked back at it, which I do all the time. I never go back to look at my stuff. It's like I just get it off my chest, my mind, whatever, and keep moving. Reading it out loud was the most almost liberating, but breaking down and rebuilding back up piece of literature I think I wrote. I was like, oh my gosh. But then as soon as it was over, like in the moment I'm reading it and I know I'm having a moment with me, this writing and God, and what I wish that my ex-husband was taken from it in the moment that he would have read it, if he ever read it. I sent it through email and text. I never got a response. And it is so deep about being this authentic self. And when I got married, I was in the worst place of my life. I don't even know how I ended up getting married. And that's what the letter was telling him, is that I wish you could see me now. I never wanted the divorce. I just need to get through that trauma, the label that we're putting on this thing. I learned so much tonight. Y'all just don't even understand. So after I wrote all of this, after I read it to the group, I got a question I never expected. Well, how did you feel writing that? Not reading it, not sharing it. How do you feel now? How did you feel writing that? And it made me I felt the most vulnerable piece. It was almost like I was standing in the whole room naked and now everybody was looking at me. And then I said, well, who am I now? Because if I was telling him of who I wasn't then or that, and it made me go in and then, right before it ended, somebody hacked the group and it got really weird. And then I wanted to hide more. And it ended up ending the group very quickly because of whatever was happening. And I said, I need to change who I am. I don't want anybody to see me. I don't know the authentic me, right? I don't know me. Oh my gosh. So I changed it. And then I got in this group and I said, you probably just don't need to talk at all anymore, because I feel like I talk too much in the groups. And then we go through this whole thing about being your authentic self. And I was like, as soon as I go to speak, there's only one person in here that's probably going to know my voice very clearly, because I speak in all your groups.
I appreciate you so much, my friend. It made me think, gentlemen, your thoughts. We all have to mature. Come on, somebody. Maturity is respectful, is honorable, and maturity, even though it knows it has a voice of value, it also is mature enough to respect the other voices of value in the room, doesn't need to project itself all the time, waits patiently for those moments. And truly, maturity knows it has more to say than what it says, because it makes room for other people to say. And so we live in a culture that, and I love giving people platform. I love giving people platform. But I remember when I started training in this, it was going to people's house, Denard and LeAnzar, as a chaplain, and I would hear in my heart, "Take your shoes off at the front door." And I'm thinking, why would I take my shoes off at the front door? And it's because I was told to do that inside, meaning I was going to make room and space for those other people and meet them at the level that they were at. One of the challenges that we find now is immaturity will stand up in a space and begin to share and shout and say, and that's okay to share and shout and say, but we also have a wherewithal to go, okay, I've shared and shouted and and said, now I need to sit down just a moment and let somebody else. So it's flow. One of the things I love about this room and I love about authenticity, when it flows, it involves everybody, which is so brilliant, right? It involves comments, it involves feedback, it involves chat, it involves people that are speaking. So cool. And you don't have to manipulate it, right? It just flows. It flows on its own. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so cool that you had recognized her voice as well, Denard. Okay, let me get to a few more hands. I see, Ange, you've been so patient. Heidi, I see your hand. Give me just a half a second. Ange, go ahead, and then I'm going to come back to Heidi. Thank you so much. Ange, go ahead. Going once? All right. Heidi, thank you so much.
Sorry,
I see your hand.
guys. Sorry.
You're good. Go for it. Go for it. It's all you.
Zar knows who I am, and the last couple of weeks I've been going to his class and Crystal's class, and I've been angry with my family. I've given over 15 years of my life. I've born and raised in the church, Pentecostal. You gotta honor your mother and father no matter what. And these last couple of weeks, I've noticed that I forgot the word that God gave me 6 months ago, and I think it was you, Jeff, and this gives me chills down my spine. I sat in my backyard for 4 hours. It's like, well, what else do you want from me? I'm a good mother. I'm a good daughter. I'm a good sister. I do what I'm supposed to do. I sat there and I just stared at the tree, and I couldn't even cry anymore. And the word that came into my head was surrender. And surrendering at the same time, that doesn't mean only the good part, the bad part. Like, I needed to stop doing for my mother. I needed to stop doing for my brother, my dad. They're all grown. And I'm going to tell you the truth. God worked in such a mysterious way that I saw that cloud after I said I let go. And since then, he's blessed me. I just found out my son was autistic. That was a blessing that I got to fight for 8 months for him. I got my kids in a private school. Why? Because I got all that negativity and I let God take control. And I'm still seeing it every day. But it's just, you guys just reminded me, don't forget about that person where I started, where I became, to come where I am, and just thank God every day and keep on giving his testimony, because trust in him and he makes it possible. I'm a girl from the Bronx with nothing, living in the hood, and I can honestly tell you, for the first time, it took me 10 years, and I just bought my $500,000 house last month. Was good. God is good.
A root out of a dry ground, light in a dark place. Now, I will bring you back, Ange, for something. I'm going to get to a couple more comments. But Zara, I want your feedback on this. What Ange was just sharing, that come on, somebody help me. She surrendered to God. But where was, hang on just a second, where was God? Was he behind you? Did he catch you? Where was he? He is, listen to me, he is in you. So you fell back into the arms of your higher self.
In me, when I said surrender, that blanket covered me. Like, I felt literally in my backyard. Oh my God.
Yeah, girl.
In my backyard, him telling me, I got you, baby girl, no matter what. I got you always. Whatever bad thing you do, I got you. That's amazing.
And you know who else is talking to you, Ange? I'm just going to throw who else because it'll probably make sense to you. You're talking to you. The one that you were created to be is looking at you going, I got you. And what she's trying to get you to do is believe in you like she believes in you, and you will morph into her.
And like
you will become that same person. That
but you're to like myself and get to know myself. I didn't know myself. I was all around everybody. Like me. I'm pretty nice. Like today, I told this lady in the post office not to take all your time. She had the most serious look. And I made some kind of joke, and she smiled and she said, God bless you. I was having a really shitty day. And I looked at her and I said, one promise I made God is that with all these blessings, I'll make sure at least with one person I may smile. I made 3 today, and that was just for God. That felt good.
That's good.
Let your light shine, girl. Let your light shine. Thank you, Ange. Gentlemen, comments before we go on, and I want to get to Heidi next. Gentlemen, comments, thoughts?
I'll give the floor to Czar.
I want everybody.
Yeah,
it's like, and I want us to hear that in the sense of what, even like what Angie was saying, because as she was talking, it was that whole idea of, she said, surrender to God. And Jeff, you hit on it. He said, you're surrendering to your authentic self. When you surrender to your authentic self, you are in surrender to God. The thought that comes to my mind is now scripture would say Father. Father means source. I and my source are one. When you surrender to your authentic self, you are falling back into the arms of God. You are falling back into what you were created to be. You are falling back into that space where the burden is light. The yoke is easy. The burden is light. We're falling back into that space. And I think that's important for all of us to really hear. We talk about stress. The way to de-stress is back into the authentic self. And again, you're still going to have certain things that's going to affect you. But the reality is, when you tap back into that authentic power, that authentic self, that authentic source, your creator, you're aligned in the world in the way you need to be. And you're no longer, again, we said it early, trying to fit in. You're belonging.
Yeah. You make me think, Czar. I remember when I was way overweight, way out of shape. I used to weigh about 240 pounds, way out of shape, couldn't breathe. Walk up on the green to putt my ball, and leaning on a putter, can't breathe. 3 years, 9 months, and 7 days later, I weighed in at a cool 165. I had a resting heart rate of 48 beats a minute. I was running, jogging, HIIT training, everything.
Okay,
my whole point in saying this, come on now. The whole point of saying this is this: where was the skinny person? Well, I had to go to God to find him. I had to go to God. I had to go to the gym to find. No, you didn't have to go anywhere. He has always been inside of me. And when I finally gave him enough space, he kept getting me up in the morning, waking my eyes open at 5. But the other me, not the authentic me, the me who thought he was in control, goes, nah, I'll start tomorrow. Nah, I'll start tomorrow. And he kept waking me up, guys. He kept waking me up. Pretty soon, the day that I acted on that which I desired most to be, oh my God, here he came. Now, it took still 3 years, 9 months, and 7 days, but guess what happened? He always lives in me. And you always live in you. That's the higher self. The separation message is what's killing us. Oh, I shifted. Oh my God. The separation message is what's killing us, friends. Because
you got me banging on the desk.
You keep trying to get to something that you already are. And that
we
great separation
trying
message.
To find the tears I can't because I'm too shy.
Yeah. But you are. Oh gosh. Friends, I'm keeping the room open. I've got Czar and
keep it
I've got one hand on one door, it's trying to slide shut, and I've got another hand on the other door, it's trying to slide shut, but I'm keeping it open. Keep it open. Heidi, I've seen your hand. You've been so very patient.
I really, really want to share something with you guys.
Yes. Go for it, honey. Take a minute.
It is the first time that I have ever shared it in front of a guy. But I want to share this with you because you will see when you hear it how it goes from complete despair and guilt to like amazing power. And I wrote this last week. I really want, please forgive me. I am extremely blind. And so it might take me a couple seconds to...
Go for it, girl. You got the floor. Go for it. It's all you.
Take your time, Heidi.
The cheese is slipping off my cracker. Hold on.
I'm going to steal that phrase, Heidi.
Me too.
Janice just helped me in the chat.
Crackers.
I'm putting my cheese back on my cracker right now. So you go ahead and put yours on, girl. You got this. Go for it.
Okay. I am trying very hard to find it. It was a poem that I wrote one day when I was really angry. and it's on. Okay, it might be a little bit choppy.
Go for it. It's all you.
It's called The Bad Day. I started pulling my hair out today, little by little, strand by strand. I needed to feel the pain. I needed the release to cover up the things that I can't let you see. For if you saw them, you might surely leave. I never used to be this way. I used to be able to see, but now I'm pouring coffee into my shredded wheat. If this is a joke, then God has been beat. The joke is on them because I have a plan. So hang on to your seat. I'm going to kick some ass and, oh, hold on a minute. I lost it. Oh, wait, okay. I'm going to kick some ass and love as much as I can. You all thought I was weak somehow, somebody that you could tease. Someday I will corner you and bring you to your knees. The shame is not mine, nor is the guilt in me. Never again will I see what you see. Yet you will never see what is inside of me. The wars are fought, the fires rage, my heart has been in a cage. Stroke my cheek. Oh wait, hold on a minute. Oh God. Come take my hand and stroke my cheek. Tell me that it is safe to speak, and I will let you in.
I love it.
Finger snaps.
Yeah. Yes. Everybody, show some love in the house. Phenomenal. You all have been so patient. Heidi, your heart shines through. We feel you. We see you. We appreciate you. Heidi, did you hear just what I said? We see you. We see you.
That is one of the biggest gifts that God has ever given me. He took away my ability to judge people based on what they look like. The way that I reach people is by hearing what's in their heart. And that doesn't have to do with words. It's tone. It's how much you stop in between sentences to breathe. It's, are you angry? Are you sad? All of these things I am able to absorb because, yes, it was unfortunate, but it is a gift that other sighted people don't have.
Yeah. You're the other parts of you, Heidi, have just think about this, and then I want to just jump over to, I've seen another hand, Marnisha. I want to get to you next, but Heidi, just think about this. You've been created with the functionality, so being if one part of you doesn't work, the other parts of you pick up and engage in work. So you're never alone. You actually have been designed like that to work like that, which is profound.
From a mile away.
Yeah. I appreciate you. You can chat. You can quote our friend on that one. I could hear a mouse fart a mile away. You have been phenomenal to hear. Thank you so much, Heidi, for sharing. Marnisha, you've been so patient. Thank you. Unmute yourself. The floor is yours. You're live with Zar and Denard.
Good evening, everybody. Well, it's evening while I'm at. It's like 11:24. This is my first time being on here, and this is actually so wonderful, wonderful. Hitting major topics, things that I have been dealing with, evolving into. And so I don't even know what made me want to say something. And it's like my mind is like everywhere. first of all, hopefully I'll be able to go to sleep. I have not been sleeping well at all for a while now. But last night I stayed up 24 hours and just laid in the bed. And I have not been sleepy. And so I'm like, I didn't took my sleeping pills. I didn't did everything. So I'm like, what is going on within me where I'm not able to sleep, rest, anything else? I have experienced some great losses, which I'm in a grieving process. And I'm like, man, this is taking too long. But you can't put time on it, right? And so I'm just at a place now of really tapping into who I am. For my whole entire life, I have always taken care of other people. For the last 10 years of my life, I have raised my step-grandchildren. And that was who I was, raising them, being there for them. They have went back with their mom. And I'm at the first time in 42 years of living, trying to learn who Marnisha is by myself. And so it has been a journey, period, because learning what I like. The first time I kind of was by myself, with nobody around. I could not even go grocery shopping. I didn't even know. I put stuff in the cart 3 times, went different times, and put everything back because I had anxiety attacks. Like, I'm spending too much money. It's only one person. I have $150. Like, this is too much food. And so it took me some trials and some times, and then I finally got it done, right? And I'm like, this is what I like. This is what it's about. And that was in 2013. Now we in this year, 2023. And I'm at that place again where I'm like, I need to go grocery shopping. I have changed eating habits, everything else, but I have not yet once went to the grocery store to shop for me again. And I'm finding out a lot about myself. Grew up in church, raised in church, I'm a minister, pastor, whatever, do all that. I know all of that, know God. So getting it from this spiritual perspective is very enlightening. But I'm also involving into parts of me where I hid in the church.
Now you talk. Come on now.
And so being in something that's organized religion, spirituality, you can hide within that place and still not be seen. But but you see everybody else.
Amen.
And so
that's what you want to see, everybody else with yourself.
Right. And so as I'm journal like going through my life and everything else, I'm like, God, who am I? I've been asking this question, who am I? What am I supposed to do? What do I love? When was the last time I was happy? My partner has been asking me this for several months. Are you happy? I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. I have good things going on. Great things going on. But it's like, God, I'm still grieving. I'm still hurting. I need that to go away so I can really enjoy the fruit of learning who Marnisha is again. I'm coaching, always want to coach. Coaching basketball, love it. Working in the school, everything I've ever wanted, I'm getting the manifestations of everything I wanted. Now I'm doing ministry again for a time. And it's like, but I'm still empty within inside.
And you're my twin right now. Guys, before y'all talk, I need to talk to her.
So I'm just like, now I'm bleak within me. And I'm getting up all my heart's desires. Because one thing about relinquishing my grandkids, I kept hearing within myself, don't fight. Let them go. You have the paperwork, you have this, you have that, but don't fight. Them are her children, and you have done your duty. But I have not spoken to them. She won't let me talk to them. Haven't sent me a picture in a year, over a year now. And I'm like, I felt like I gave up on them. So I don't know if I'm like beating myself up. But I can't get past that.
Denard, Zar, go ahead and help her out. We've got to be conscientious of our time, and friends, I appreciate your opening heart and sharing. Denard, Zar, I want to give you a chance to help out.
I'll say just briefly, First off, Manisha, I just want to say shout out to you for speaking up, and you're tapping into the other part that we've been saying it, but finding your voice, right? You talk about being in the church. You know, it's so funny. Real quick, I'll just say this: like, you know how a lot of times the way people sing with the vibratos or the runs, sometimes you try to mimic how people do it, and it's not until you find your voice people are actually like, how did you do it that way, right? So what we're also having to do is what you're calling the undoing and the unlearning is equally important. It's a hard process, but it's worth it, right? And I want to talk to something else you said real quick is and you're I gotta say this to you, Manish. Listen, there's nothing wrong with how you feel, right? To me, it's just a litmus indicator that the depth of hurt and questioning that you have is a direct correlation to the love that's in you that doesn't have the ability to express in the way that you desire in this moment. So what I want to say to you is that everyone, our deepest seated desire is to be able to express the love that we have in a way of serving that helps us to overcome these struggles that you talked about as well. And these are the things that leave an indelible impression upon the heart of others, because we are no longer serving the opinions of the doubts or the negative self-talk. You're actually serving an opinion to, I know I have something that I want to give to someone that I love, right? So what I am saying to you is simply this: what you are in search of, this is a litmus indicator that you're finding it.
Yeah, because if you didn't have the desire to search for it, you wouldn't be searching for it. Therefore, you wouldn't find it. So the very fact that you have the desire to search for it indicates that you are on track to find it. I love it. I love it, Denard. I love it. Thank you for sharing so much. I've got a race. I've got a couple of more, and then I want my guests to have a final word. So bear with us, friends. Thank you so much. Idalis, did I say that right? I see your hand. You've been so very patient. Please come on and share your thoughts with us.
Yeah, you said that right. My name is Idalis.
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to kind of tie a couple of things together that we spoke about earlier in the conversation, and some things that came to heart were that you know, we are not our past, and you know, because the past is gone, and you know, we are not what we think of ourselves. You know, sometimes we think you know, what we could have been, and what we lost and all that stuff, and we're not that either. You know, what we think about ourselves are just thoughts, but we are what we are in the present, and we can choose that. You know, we can choose to be something different. You know what I mean? Like when we say, when you think of God, you know, like you guys were saying that you know, God is in us, and you think about what the name of God is. It's not the name of God, or the great I am. And so when you say like I am, and you put your title on yourself, are you not like kind of in a way like using the Lord's name in vain? You know what I mean? Like when you say I am depressed, I am this, and you put this finite title on yourself. You know what I mean?
Powerful.
It's like you cause that. Like another name for God is I caused him. So like when you say I am this and I am that, instead of just saying I feel, like make it temporary. Like in this moment I feel sad, you know, I feel depressed. Don't say I am, because it makes it so permanent. You know what I mean? And you identify with that, and then you just want to. It's like kind of one of the, what do they call it? A self-fulfilling
prophecy.
There you go. You know, so it's just like I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, but that was kind of like, I was trying to wrap that up with that, and yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love what you just said. I put in the chat, I've always said this: whatever follows your I am, you are. That's why the holy utterance says, I am. Who do men say that you are? I am. As soon as you add something to I am, you have to uphold that. They have a camp for you. They have a sweatshirt for you. They have an ideology for you. They have a diagnosis for you. They have every support group that you can join. They've got thinking. You've got tapes. You've got YouTube channels. They got coaches on how to do you that. Friend, I encourage you to divorce yourself. Divorce is the legal separation from who you used to be with. And I'm telling you to divorce your freaking self. Up to this very moment, divorce who you've ever thought you were supposed to be. And when somebody asks you, you just tell them, I am. Now, if that's a little weird for you, you can just tell them, I'm Jeff. I'm Denard. I remember I was on the golf course one time, and the golf course always starts off with, well, what do you do? And then you have to outdo what they said because you have to be better than them. And then you just keep telling these stories. So I just decided to make something up, Denard, and I dropped out, I'm a doctor. And the rest of the foursome went, wow, what type of doctor are you? I said, well, I'm a general practice doctor. Oh, wow, really? So the whole 18 holes, I played golf with 3 other people that I didn't know as a general practitioner doctor. And then I think halfway through it, I threw in, I was a heart specialist once, and they decided it was too much for me. And they bought it. And sinker. And the only purpose I'm saying that, friend, is that, again, whatever follows your I am, you are. Come up out of that place. Stop telling yourself you're broken, you're this, you're that. Let all of that go. Surrender that and stick with simply you are. Friends, you have been a delight. Do you believe it that we have been on this call? It is 8:36 California time. We started this call at 7. That means we've been going strong. Sounds like church to me, guys. I don't know. It's like you just keep going. Preacher keeps preaching. We just keep clapping. We keep shouting. You all, each of you, I want to just say thank you. Just want to give you space and say thank you. Because without you, we wouldn't be here.
Yes.
Your energy has drawn this out of us. You're the one that's drawn it out of us. And though one is sitting beside the other, and what you're thinking, they're thinking. And what they're thinking, you're thinking. And there's this enormous connection going on. Denard and Zar, it is an honor and a privilege to share space with you. I want you to take a couple of minutes each, wrap it up, share something, leave us with a nugget that we can walk away with tonight. Would you do that?
Yeah. Zar, would you like me to go first?
Yes, please.
All right. I'm reminded of 2 instances. Just a practical way I started to notice, like, when I was no longer being myself. First, I recognized that I was bringing my relationship problems into the spaces and places I wanted to be myself in. And what that means is I've always had a struggle being loyal to the wrong people for the right reasons, right? And so I started to lose a sense of self in places where I was trying to find my own voice, right? I started to feel bad for doing good. All right, I want you all to start, and then it trickled all the way into when I'm finalizing my master's degree, and I felt, have you ever been in a place where you've completed something, an accomplishment? It's big in comparison to the statistical divide in my family, and but yet I still came up empty in the end because I started leveling with myself while I was experiencing burnout and compassion fatigue. And I look back and I realized I spent in that last semester 1,300 hours counseling my mentees, but only 300 hours on my own goals and dreams. Right. And so and I was left with this one reality, right? When we talk about the true self, overcoming imposter syndrome, finding my own voice, I started recognizing that I had no one else to look or turn towards. And this is the beauty of it. See, you can self-blame, you can self-sabotage, you can actually have this negative feedback loop if you want. But on the other side of this extreme is also a truth. I started to activate the authentic power that I've always been able to do. I was able to actually face myself for the first time. Right. And someone is you're okay, you're comfortable on the periphery of your sphere of influence, right? You're comfortable being around people that make you feel good. And what I'm trying to get to is that part of my problem is I sat in the place of fearing total rejection or too much acceptance, right? And with total rejection, I was like, oh, well, this is not a place for me. Too much acceptance. There was no accountability. No one told me I had the potential to be better because they thought I was at my best. So I couldn't grow. And we talk about maturity. My maturity was when I redefined it, my willingness to grow and create environments for change. Someone right now, you're not setting clear expectations. See, I was actually spending time with people, but I wasn't spending time with myself. Right. And I was creating opportunities to dialogue with people, but I wasn't actually hearing myself speak. Right. And so when I was just barreling through life, and I don't even know if Charles is still here, but when I was just barreling through life, it was hard for me to be transparent with people when I felt like everyone was seeing through me. Right. And I just need you all to catch where I'm going, because this is very important. I had to start an evaluation. I learned one thing: ask one question each day. Right. I had to start asking myself. I invited curiosity. But see, the problem is when we start asking questions, we leave out the sense of humanity. Right. And so when I asked the questions of who am I started just defining it. Who are you, Denard? I called myself back into where I needed to be. And Pedro Gautama has a thing called where is home, a famous theologian. He talks about, he says, wherever you are is home, right? And I finally, for the first time, I started hearing my voice. I started seeing the beauty of my face. I started recognizing who I am. I started understanding my value. I started challenging and pushing back the cultural norms within my own Haitian culture, where the disparities of what I should be was based on the disparities of, or what I should be was based on the disparities in Haiti. Like, you should be an engineer because we need irrigation systems and built infrastructure. We need doctors because we need healing. We need, listen, I needed to be everything for everyone, but I never had a chance to be who I was called to be. And so for the first time, when I pick up the phone and I told my dad, I feel like I'm called to go to the seminary. I want to instill hope in people. I feel that people are hopeless and helpless, but I want to remind them. I heard my dad, who actually raised me to be a Christian, I heard a silent, faint disappointment. My heart starts to drop, but then guess what? God starts to pick me back up, and he says to me at this point in time, this is the point where your dad can't bring you any further. This is your story to write. And someone right now, I just need you to hear me. Kobe says it best this way. He says, you have to dance beautifully in the box that you're in. Right. And so while you're unlearning, today is a good day. And I guess the answer for me is going to be the same for you. When you ask the question, who am I? It's the same encouragement. You just have to be you. And I'll stop there.
Wow. Well, amen.
Wow.
You didn't stop. You finished. You destroyed.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God. Well, I would love to hear you, Zar, man. I would love to hear your thoughts.
I don't have a whole bunch to say because you just wrapped it up. You just wrapped it up in there. But I want to say this little piece that kind of comes to my mind. It's like, you aren't your desires. All right. Mm-hmm. You are not your desires. Your design is who you really are. So get in touch with your design and let it inform your desires. Right? Unleash your authentic self in that. A wise man once said nothing. He just stood in being who he really is. And that's what I want everybody here to hear. Stand in being who you really are, regardless of what's happening in, around you, through you, and use that sense of being to navigate your way back to your most authentic self. Use that sense of being, not that sense of doing, that sense of being. When we get back to this space of being our most authentic self, you can now begin to have actions. So if you be, when we learn to be, we can do what people who are being do. That's called inspired action. And then you can have what people who are doing those things have.
Amen to that.
Right? Let your authentic self be what it is. Unleash your authentic self. The world needs it, and you're worth it, and we want to experience your worth.
Amen to that. Friends, thank you. Time does not do us any justice at all. We could be forever. Tonight was not about these gentlemen didn't come on for promotion. They came on for purpose.
Purpose.
They had a mission. And their mission was to take what they've learned and sow it into us. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. I have dropped a link to both of them. Please follow them. Please find them. Please support them. Please reach out. I want to thank you.
His picture's not the same. I'm just saying.
I want to thank each and every one of you for coming tonight at the conclusion of our meeting, which is in just a moment. As we close the room, you're going to have a chance to share your feedback. What I would really love you to do is share your feedback. What meant the most to you about this meeting? What nuggets are you going to take with you? Drop those in that little comment. Give us a thumbs up. And you can also follow Denard and Zar, myself, on the Circles app, so that then when they are holding a class, you will get a notification. I just want to drop this, gentlemen. I have noticed that my conversations with you two gentlemen have the highest rating, the highest engagement of any rooms that I've ever led. Now, I understand, and I want all of us that are still on this call to hear what that means. That, to me, means humanity is hungry for authenticity. We are hungry for authentic people.
Yes.
Not just people who are full of it.
Come on.
But people who are empty. Who have been
full of it, so we can empty them out.
Deserts of empty. And when they have emptied themselves, that other them fills it up and they begin to pour out into others. So I believe this is a sign that we used to call it revival. If there is a great move coming, I believe humanity is ripe for it. And the spirit in which we encounter tonight is the spirit which will lead the charge and will lead people out of bondage, Denard. It'll lead people out of poverty. It'll lead people out of trauma. The sick shall be healed. The dead shall raise. They shall stand victoriously. I really believe that's the spirit in which you gentlemen have brought to the table tonight. And so for that, I'm extremely honored. Friends, you've been experiencing all of this on the Circles app. Can you believe it? Gentlemen, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Kim.
Yeah, you friends are welcome so much. That brings our room to a conclusion. In just a moment, I'm going to close the room. Denard, Zar, brothers, thank you so much for sharing your light with us tonight. We appreciate you. Can you show some love in the house one more time for our guests?
Thank you, Jeff, for the space. Thank you. Thank you for having us and hosting us.
Love y'all boys, man.
Yeah, love you
Likewise.
guys as well. Okay, my friends, happy day, happy day. Go be you, your authentic self. You've heard it from the voices tonight. Thank you all. That's my time. That's our time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. God bless you all more and more.
You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night.